Ferguson. There's the shot, they score! John Klingberg wins it in overtime for the Dallas Stars, 4-3.
After back-to-back tough losses to non-playoff teams, the Canucks look to regroup as they head to St. Louis for a date with the Blues. It doesn't get any easier for the boys from BC as tonight begins a tough road trip against some of the top teams in the West. With only 7 games left in the season, each point is critical to Vancouver's success. Can they rise to the occasion again? The Canucks and the Blues, right now.
As we said a half hour ago, the gateway to the West becomes a gateway to the Western Conference playoffs for the Canucks. First of a 4-game trip in 6 nights to determine their fate in the West. And how good has that guy been? His goal got them a point the other night. Radim Vrbata and Vladimir Tarasenko, the only player in the NHL with 35-plus goals and 35-plus assists. Think about that. It's a low-scoring year in the National Hockey League, but all about points now and picking them up to get yourself in the playoffs. I'm Brad Fay. Welcome to another night of Canucks hockey. Damian Cox and Steve Ruchin in a moment, but we go right to the Scott Trade Center and Dan Murphy to kick off this trip. Dan.
Yes, Brad, as you've chronicled, a real critical stretch here for the Canucks. 4 games in 6 nights, all on the road, all against Central teams currently holding down playoff spots. The Canucks 8-1 against the Central this season. You think they have to remain at 500 after this trip to still be in a playoff position. Now, Canucks defense is starting to come around and give them some points. They need the forwards to follow. And Nick Bonino has been showing signs of life. A goal and assist Saturday against Dallas. He's also got 9 points in his last 7 games against the St. Louis Blues. As for those Blues, they've dropped 4 of the last 5, 1 in a shootout, 1 of those was in overtime. They won't have Alex Steen tonight. He's missing a game with a lower body injury, but they do get back TJ Oshie, who returns after missing 1 with the flu. Brad?
Oshie's been great against the Canucks. The horn guy doesn't like Murph, apparently. Here are Stephen Damon, as I mentioned, would be here, and we take a look at the Western Conference standings. If you're just joining us, we're in here for the pregame show, and we talked about how Calgary won last night and Winnipeg lost. So now suddenly it's 4 points separating those 4 teams, and the wild card is a factor, where a few weeks ago it looked like you had to get in via the Pacific. The rest of the way for the Canucks, not easy. But the good news is, Damien, that's usually served them well. They've played much better on the road and much better against the best teams in the league.
Glass half full, Brad?
Yeah, gotta be, I think.
Look, this is a murderer's row of a week. 4 games in 6 nights against St. Louis, Nashville, Chicago, Winnipeg. Holy smokes, the Canucks come out of this with 2 wins. They're going to feel very, very good about themselves against extremely tough opposition. The concern is, after missing those games or not playing that well against Colorado and Dallas, they come into this, they don't come out of this stretch of games with much. That really will put the pressure on them for the last week of the season. Best way to start a road trip, I think Steve will tell you, win on first night.
Yeah.
That's a brutal road trip, let's be honest. And then they got the Kings when they get home. But, you know, if you ask me, I don't think it's do or die. They're sitting in a great spot with 91 points. You know, they just get a few points. You know, even if they get 3 points, they just need to take care of the rest of the 3 games. You know, it's in their own hands. But, yeah, they need to get off to a good start. St. Louis has had trouble scoring in the first period early. So, and Nashville tomorrow night in Nashville. Last thing you want to do is be counting on that to get 2 points. That's not an easy place to go.
Yeah, and after what they did the last 2 games out, you expect a good start. And because of what Steve said, 9 games in a row, the Blues haven't scored in the first period. You get 1 or 2 early, then maybe you change the landscape completely the rest of the night.
I think so, and we saw the Vancouver Canucks in L.A. a couple of weeks ago after they'd been spanked by the Kings a week earlier, come out and play just a terrific hockey game. So I think there's reasonable expectation. They're going to come out and play much, much better than they did against the Avalanche and the Stars.
Playoff type of game, too. It'll be a much better game than
Canucks
the last.
have won 3 straight on the road. 4 would tie a season high. It's the Blues and the Canucks, old friends from playoffs years ago, now trying to set it up again.
Scott Trade Center here in the Show Me State, where the Vancouver Canucks hit the road, trying to show the rest of the NHL they belong in the playoffs in the Western Conference. Starting goalies for this game brought to you by Tim Hortons, the official coffee of the NHL. It's the last of 12 back-to-backs for the Canucks, who play tomorrow in Nashville. The possibility then that Eddie Lack plays both ends. He's a perfect 4-0 in his career against St. Louis. And for the Blues, Brian Elliott looks to end a personal 3-game losing skid. He had Rogers Arena buzzing back on the 1st of the month when he locked horns with coach Ken Hitchcock at the St. Louis bench. TJ Oshie back in the Blues lineup, missed 1 game with the flu. He starts this one on right wing with Olli Jokinen and David Backes. Henrik Sedin, 2 assists from 700. Will he hit the milestone on this road trip?
Daniels having some equipment problems over at the Canuck bench, getting his visor adjusted. I think Brian Elliott would argue with you about the 3-game losing streak. Goalies, you ask goalies about shootout losses.
Yes.
They never consider those a loss. They consider it circus time. They take the wins naturally when you win. But if you lose a shootout, and he lost 2-1 to Winnipeg in a shootout, that's a 1-goal game, should have been a tie. And I side with the goalies on that one. Naturally, my goalie card is coming out. So it's not really a 3-game losing streak. It's a 3-game non-winning streak.
Denial. They dropped the puck. Daniel Sedin hasn't even put his chin strap on yet. They dropped the puck while he was still gliding towards the face-off circle. And so he's got the chin strap flapping as the game is underway. And here comes Olli Jokinen. Aim with a long wrist shot. Eddie Lack steers that over the glass, and Daniel can do up his helmet.
And look at Daniels going right over to the referee and saying, okay, come on. So Willie Desjardins looks a little
Perplexed.
perplexed is a good word.
Daniel's more bemused than anything.
Yeah, Mike Bernstein is going to fix it.
Maybe that was the issue all along. In any event, Canucks change. Horvat line comes on. Blues win the face-off in the Vancouver zone. Carl Gunnarsson plays the puck to the corner. Jaden Schwartz let it go through to Jori Lehtera. Now Schwartz turning on the left wing behind the net for Lehtera. Edler's on him. Edler and Tanev paired on defense as usual. Tarasenko tried a centering feat. Canucks intercept that, and Bo Horvat turns back in his own zone, passing to Christopher Tanev. Edler put that one off Tarasenko. Hansen hooks the puck towards Ronald's Kennens. Intercepting is Gunnarsson, who banks the puck to neutral ice. Hansen chops it back into the St. Louis zone, and both teams start to change. 1 minute into the first, out comes Bonino along with Verbata and Higgins. That's Dmitry Yashkin poking the puck in behind the Vancouver goal. Yannick Weber goes back out there with Dan Hanhus. Yashkin comes up with a puck. Down for Patrick Berglund. Hanhus steps into him. Shattenkirk moved down from the blue line. Second game back for Kevin Shattenkirk, who missed 25 with an abdominal problem, and he wins the race for that puck. An icing call against Vancouver.
Had a chance to chat with Ken Hitchcock this morning as the Blues had an optional practice, and Hitch sitting up in the stands as he usually does, watching his troops go through it. And nice to congratulate him for his 700 wins. A very elite company. Ken has been around a long time and been very successful.
Up to 703 now, trailing Scotty Bowman, Al Arbour, and Joel Quenneville. Those last two, Quenneville and Hitchcock, 1-2 among active coaches. Hanhus ahead to Higgins. He finds Lyndon Vay, who's come on a change. In with Derek Dorsett, who takes the pass. Long wrist shot wide of the goal. Puck ricochets to Ryan Reeves. Dorsett gets a piece of him. As the puck is played towards the Vancouver line by Marcel Gotch. Canucks take it back, throw it ahead for Sean Mathias. Dorsett after the puck. Mathias lost in his feet. Here's Oshie, and stepping up to hit him was Spiza, but Oshie braced himself, and it looked like Spiza took the worst of it. Lucas Spiza from center risks the puck into the blue zone. Elliott around the far side, blocked by Dorsett. In for Sean Mathias. Working from the right wing corner, Mathias up the board, centers. Dorsett with a shot that went off the heel of his stick. Canucks have only scored first 8 times in the last 31 games, and the Blues have a chance in front. Oshie had the puck go off his stick, and he never got a shot away. Now another test from the far side goes wide. Pietrangelo holds the puck in. Backes to the blue line. Jokinen long, deflected shot off the shoulder. Rebound stopped by Lack as well. And another one off Tarasenko, who cuts in front. To the blue line. Gunnarsson dishes off. Schwartz lost control of the puck, and Dorsett at the end of a long shift is able to get it out. Blues try to move right back in. Pietrangelo down the right wing. Sends one wide to the goal. Puck ricochets to Lehtera. Behind for Schwartz. 2 Canucks are on him. Bieksa muscles the puck to the corner, but it's put in front. Tarasenko has his shot bounce wide of the goal as it went off a Canucks stick. Good pressure for the Blues, who haven't scored a first period goal in 9 games. So they've struggled with their starts as well, and that's something Ken Hitchcock was imploring his team to be better at here tonight. Pietrangelo passes ahead. Blues break to center. Paul Stastny to Patrick Berglund. Wide on Tanev. Round behind the net. Berglund still with the puck. Skated into traffic. Tanev takes it away, and here's Daniel Sedin dumping the puck in from center. Elliott, a little slow to move it, but gets it by Henrik Sedin. And the Blues dump the puck down the ice and deflect it off a Canucks stick, so no icing. 4 minutes in, no score. Shots are 3-0 St. Louis. Ronalds Kennings lost the puck at center. Shattenkirk fires it forward. Knocked down by Gotch, who dishes back into his own zone to Barrett Jackman. The Fruitvale native passes ahead to Gotch. His lead feed is off the mark, and Weber turns the puck the other way. Hansen didn't have a stick, however. It's laying loose in the Vancouver zone. Now grabbed by the official, who skates it over to the Vancouver bench. Lucas Sbisa back for a loose puck. Puts it off the glass. Higgins can't move it out. Here's a chance for a shot by Bouwmeester. He put it wide. On the other side, Zdeněk McCulloch tried to get one through. Blues hold the puck in. McCulloch bristling off a stick, and that puck sails over the glass for a whistle and a face-off in the Vancouver zone.
Well, the Blues with some good scoring chances early, and Eddie Lack, who has played very well against the Blues, deflected. It's off his shoulder, and then he gets in position for the rebound. Lucas Sbisa has Oshie lined up, but as you said, John, Oshie saw him at the last minute, got the hands up, and it was Sbisa who took the shot to the head.
Oshie's back out. Face-off in the Vancouver zone. 5 minutes into a scoreless first. And the puck winds up on the stick of Chris Tanev. Dorsett's lead pass intercepted by Pietrangelo. Ahead to Oshie, who deflects the puck in behind the Vancouver goal. Tanev around for Dorsett. And he forces the puck to center. Well, the Canucks haven't been able to do much more than that so far in this first period. Jokinen in after the puck. Lyndon Day throws it up the middle. Pietrangelo intercepts. Dishes off. Oshie back to Gunnarsson. Lets it go, and that was blocked. Tanev in a good battle in front with Backes, who now goes behind the goal and takes a pass. Dishes to the side, and Lack made a save on the quick one-timer from Olli Jokinen. Dorsett skates the puck through center. Can't get it in deep. Here's Pietrangelo looking up ice. And he just lifts the puck to the Vancouver blue line. Weber waiting for it. Over to Hamhuis. Had to reach for it. Turning his Berglund. And that one was off the stick of Stastny and wide of the goal. Hamhuis can't get the puck past Yashkin. Now able to swat it out of the air and past the forechecking St. Louis player. Daniel Sedin gets the puck at center and plays it in.
6 minutes in, the Canucks looking for their first shot.
Daniel intercepts. Hendrick forces one on goal. Loose. Hendrick backhander stopped in the crease by McCulloch. And the puck is taken out of trouble by Paul Stastny. Zdeněk McCulloch saving a goal for St. Louis. And it's still scoreless here at Scottrade Center. 6.5 into the first, and it was a dangerous first shot for Vancouver. Here's Yashkin. Henrik Sedin intercepts. Burrows across to Hamhuis. Canucks are changing as he risks a bouncer in on Elliott, who steers the puck to Jackman. Brings one around, gets it by Horvat and down to the Vancouver blue line. Bieksa's pass picked off. Laterra to Schwartz. And he turns to the neutral zone. Jackman gives one away to Kennings into the middle. Jannik Hansen cuts wide in the backhand. Centers for Horvat. He couldn't get his stick on the puck, and the Blues try to turn back. Shattenkirk leading a 3-on-2 in over the Vancouver line. Schwartz takes the pass, shoots, knocked down by Lack, and a rebound cleared to the side. Eddie Lack looking sharp early, and the Canucks are able to clear the zone. Pietrangelo from behind his own net. Gunnarsson to center, broken up by Edler, and the puck winds up in the St. Louis bench. Canucks went forever without an opening shot Got one on the backhand from Henrik Sedin, but McCulloch was there to save the day.
We're back to St. Louis, and don't forget to play Safeway's $1 Million Score and Win. If any Vancouver player scores 5 goals in tonight's game, Debbie Ozelins of Cranbrook could win $1 million.
Man, the Arch looked beautiful today on a warm spring day here in St. Louis as we wandered over for our healthy afternoon lunch.
Yes.
Alexander takes a hit from the other number 23, Dmitry Yashkin of the Blues. And St. Louis comes up with the puck. Berglund to Pietrangelo. Left point, Gunnarsson. Shot into the glove of Eddie Lack. 6 shots for the Blues. Lack stopped them all, and here's Murph.
Well, guys, Daryl Sutter raised some eyebrows the other day when he said it was harder to make the playoffs in the NHL than to win the Stanley Cup. Hitch had his own spin today, held court for 10 minutes. He said that there's more pressure in the playoffs, but the regular season is far more stressful for a coach, always watching the games, the out-of-town scoreboard, trying to find your spot as you get set to get into the pressure park postseason.
Well, the race sure starts a lot earlier, doesn't it?
It does. Christmas time. Well, what is it? American Thanksgiving that Ken Holland always.
I took a look at that the other day. There's been one change in the West in terms of the top 8 since the U.S. Thanksgiving. And that's Minnesota moving in. Might have been L.A. moving out, I forget.
Kevin Dubnyk.
Jaden Schwartz tips the puck in and heads to the St. Louis bench. Yannick Weber controls behind his own net. He's been earning the praise of his head coach, Willie Desjardins. Yannick Weber in recent weeks, and still waiting with the puck, trying to decide what to do. Pulls one up the middle. That's off the stick of Henrik Sedin. The Blues turn back. Backus. Oshie, sharp angle shot. Lack took it right in the crest. And he hangs on for the whistle.
Well, the Central Division is such a tough division this year, and those 3 top teams are really fighting it out. Nashville is first rate now. And St. Louis, I don't really think Ken Hitchcock cares if he wins the President's Trophy, but he sure would like to finish first in the Central so they wouldn't have to play Chicago. I think that's what every team is trying to avoid in that first round.
Bieksa overskates the puck. Here's Backus. Tried to get one on goal. That was blocked. Bieksa got in front of it, and here come the Canucks. Henrik Sedin, Daniel Sedin shoots just wide, low to the glove on Elliott, and the puck comes off the corner boards and all the way down the ice. Lucas Sbisa to Kevin Bieksa's stick broke, and the Blues break in. Reeves with a shot held onto by Lack, and that's how easily sticks break these days.
This period brought to you by Toyota. Comfort, style, technology, and one incredible drive. The 2015 Toyota RAV4. Let's play.
Well, David Backus' shot hits Kevin Bieksa's stick earlier, and then this little pass by Lucas Sbisa finishes it off.
If only he'd known.
Yes. Well, it's hard. The composite sticks. It's not like the old wooden one where you could feel the crack.
Marcel Gartz behind the net. Here's Steve Ott. Ott checked. Tanev pressured by Gartz, able to slide the puck into the St. Louis zone. Here's a turnover by Gunnarsson and a centering pass and a stop by Elliott off Cole Horvath. Blues work the puck ahead. Chip it out to center. We're past the halfway mark of the first. No score. Yannick Hansen breaks in. Works his way down the right. Blocker saved by Elliott. Here's Kennens with a shot. That was blocked. Gunnarsson with the puck. This time makes a tape-to-tape pass, and Stastny finds Yashkin at center. He runs into Hamhuis, but here comes Berglund. Sharp angle shot. Got his own rebound. Twice he was stopped by Eddie Lack in tight. Intercepting the puck is Verbata, and he clears it out, allowing the Canucks to complete their change. Stastny to Berglund. Nice stick handling in traffic, but now he loses the puck to Nick Bonino. Quickly into the St. Louis zone. Bonino with a wrist shot attempt, partially blocked, then off the stick of Elliott. Verbata from the corner. Bonino again to the right point. Bieksa slams one wide on purpose. Puck loose behind the goal. Schwartz plays it to the corner. Stastny's after the puck there, and he drops it back to Shattenkirk. Pressured by Higgins. Puck comes to Schwartz. Can't get it by Bieksa, but now the Blues send it ahead to Berglund. who's able to advance the puck to the Vancouver blue line. Under 9 minutes to go in the first, no score. Spiza trying to one-hand a pass, lost the puck, it's thrown in front, knocked away by the Canucks, and Higgins works it to Lyndon Vay. Ahead to Dorsett, in on goal, Derek Dorsett stopped by Elliott, and then the puck came right back to him. And he's able to cover it up in the crease. Derek Dorsett sent in one-on-one. Had Elliott to beat and couldn't do it.
Spoke to Dan Hamhuis this morning about playing teams like the Blues, the Jets, the Kings, teams with huge forwards that send them in on the forecheck and hit the hurt. And he says against these teams, you're almost more mentally prepared getting in because you know you have to make quick decisions with the puck. If you don't make a quick play, they'll be on you, they'll be hitting you hard, and you'll never get out of your own zone. So perhaps that's why they fared better against some of these bigger, better teams recently, guys.
Certainly had trouble in the first few minutes of this period, but the Canucks have settled it down a bit. Shots are now 9-7 Blues. Here's Oshie. Ahead to Jokinen, who moves in with a wrist shot. That's off the skate of Tanev and into the corner. Jokinen around for Backes. Oshie bodied in the corner by Edler, separating him from the puck. Held into the line. Pietrangelo with a shot, and Oshie tipped it wide of the goal. Tanev drops the puck back to Edler, and he starts up. Long lead pass. Alex Burrows gets to the St. Louis line and plays the puck to the end board. Burrows has fond memories of this building. Scored the series clinching goal in overtime when the Canucks swept the Blues back in 2009. And it was a big goal because it came late in that overtime, and had the Canucks not ended it before the intermission, they were going to have to stay overnight and not fly home. Little did Burrows know.
Yeah.
We did. Weber dumps the puck in from center. Ronnie Kennins is after it. Here's Horvat with speed behind the net. Out the far side. Centers the puck. It never got through to Kennins, but it's held in by Hamhuis. Tried to put one on goal. That was blocked. Blues break out. 3 of them to center. But the puck got away from Berglund, and Weber was able to poke it to the corner. Now Berglund after it again. Hamhuis sends it ahead to Kennins. Held in by Zbynek McCulloch. 7 minutes to go in the first. No score. Horvat a little slow to react to that puck, and Yashkin's onto it. Blue line feed. Bouwmeester in for Berglund. Weber stepped into him. Yashkin's onto the puck. Berglund in front. Stastny to the blue line. Now Bouwmeester tries a shot. Stastny feeds it back to him. Bouwmeester's shot blocked by Hamhuis. And the Canucks will be able to change as Hansen backhands the puck in from center. Long lead pass. And here's Laterra down the left wing. Gets in deep. Now turns back up the boards. Jori Laterra in traffic. Puck knocked away by Spiza. And the Canucks get it out to center. Shattenkirk sends it on to the left wing. Here's Tarasenko around Spiza. Centers the puck off the stick of Bonino. And the puck went out of play. There'll be a face-off in the Vancouver zone.
Good defensive play by Nick Bonino. TJ Oshie is so good offensively. He gets his body in position, stick free, and that tip-in try goes up and over the crossbar. You can see Eddie Lack reacting late. Good play by Pietrangelo and TJ Oshie.
Marcel Gottsch on this face-off against Lyndon Vay, and he wins it right between the defenseman and out to center. Pietrangelo risks the puck back in. Tanev reverses to Edler. Short pass to Vay, ahead from Mathias, who allows the puck to escape the zone. After it is Dorsett. He comes up with the puck at the St. Louis blue line. Gottsch gives him a jolt. Dorsett keeps after the puck. Here's Edler. Nice pass, right point. Tanev moves down. He shoots, stopped by Elliott. And he hangs on for the stoppage with no rebound for the Canucks. 5.5 to go in the first. Still looking for the first goal here in St. Louis.
Did you know you can become a Canucks season ticket member for as low as $59 a month after deposit? Memberships for next season available now, starting with 11-game ice packs. Visit Canucks.com/memberships for details.
Good look at downtown Vancouver. Here we are in downtown St. Louis. Scott Trade Center. No score. 5:35 to go in the opening period. Henrik Sedin against Olli Jokinen on this face-off to the left of Brian Elliott. Daniel Sedin comes up with a puck, works his way to the corner. Gunnarsson steps into him as Daniel tried to go behind the goal. Canucks keep possession of the puck. Here's Henrik Sedin. Telegraphed that one, and it's intercepted by Oshie. Ahead to Backus. In over the Vancouver line. Oshie again. Tried to thread it through to Backus. That was broken up by Spiza. And Bieksa gets the puck around to Daniel Sedin, who backhands it out. Jokinen, first man back. Finds Oshie. Pietrangelo. Backus, a long wrist shot, stick saved by Lack. Jokinen plays the puck behind. Backus tried to center, he fanned him. Fight for the puck in the corner. Bieksa gets it ahead to Hansen, and he's able to get it out to center. Kennins wasn't worried about the puck there, wanted to finish the check on Pietrangelo, who now heads to the St. Louis bench. 4.5 minutes to go in the first. Here's Lucas Spiza starting out of his own zone with a pass to Jannik Hansen. Kennins backhands the puck in from center. Bouwmeester fighting it a bit. Gives it away at the line. Weber. Round for Ronnie Kennins. Lets it go back to Hansen. Short little pass for Hamhuis. He fights to hold the puck in the zone. Does. It bounced past Horvat. And Elliott plays it behind the goal to Bouwmeester. This time they're able to get it past Weber and down the ice. Hamhuis chases back for the puck. 4 minutes to go in the first. No score. Yannick Weber to Dan Hamhuis. Chris Higgins with a shot. The stick saved by Elliott. Canucks keep possession of the puck. Lenino tried to center. That was blocked. Jackman trying to work the puck up the boards. Verbata back to Hamhuis. Check to the line. And the Blues break up ice, but Shattenkirk lost control of the puck, and Verbata has it.
Well, that's a good defensive cover by Radim Verbata once he saw Dan Hamhuis stay in.
Plays a 200-foot game, does the Canucks leading goal scorer. The Blues now ice the puck. There'll be a face-off in the St. Louis zone.
Get ready for game time with over 100 menu items. Order now at bostonpizza.com for delivery.
Alex Pietrangelo is one of only 2 St. Louis Blues to play all 75 games for them so far this year. There's Ronnie Kennins trying to take a piece of him. Just caught his shoulders.
They, Mathias, and Dorsett out for the Canucks. 4 games in pretty much 5.5 days this road trip for Vancouver. They finished in the afternoon in Winnipeg, so playing all 4 lines is going to be paramount. Tarasenko trying to get through to the fence. Edler knocked him off stride, and that allowed Vey to come up with a puck. He's checked from behind, and Edler pokes the puck forward. Dorsett's going to get a penalty as he slashed the stick of Steve Ott. And the first power play of the game goes to St. Louis as Dorsett heads off for slashing.
Canucks a little careless in their own zone. A couple of little short passes, and it is a slashing penalty to Derek Dorsett. Well, they called it holding? Man.
It's a violent hold?
Yeah, that was.
I'm writing down slash.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with you. Let's make our own call.
St. Louis got the penalty.
St. Louis got the penalty for holding. Wow.
Okay.
That was before the Derek Dorsett slash, so we're just going to
scribble.
Yes, forget about that.
All right, so Gotch is off for holding. We'll search long and hard through the archives to find the penalty, and the first power play of the game goes to Vancouver. And a long shot by Edler's white puck came to the crease, kicked away by the right leg of Brian Elliott, and the puck is now cleared to center. Canucks are 6 for 13 the last 5 games on the power play. They've gone from 21st in the NHL up to 13th. Weber held the puck into the line, but then he put it over the boards into the St. Louis bench, and the whistle blows with minute 35 to go on the Vancouver power play. Canucks power play brought to you by Subway. Build your own comfort at Subway with the heartwarming ham melt and tomato basil soup combo. Subway, eat fresh.
Marcel Gotch, here's what we missed. There's Gotch with the left hand reaching around on Lyndon Vey, and that was well before the Dorsett slash.
Surprised they didn't call 2 penalties?
Yes, I was.
Here's Verbata. Henrik Sedin. Double team. McCulloch banks the puck to himself and able to play it up the middle and down the ice. Just over 2 minutes to go in the first period. A little over a minute left in the Vancouver power play. Henrik Sedin takes the drop pass. Daniel moves in on the left. Passes back. Weber shoots, and that went off the sprawling St. Louis player Berglund and wide. Henrik Sedin fights for the puck. Daniels after it. Now Verbata. Back to Edler. Cross to Weber. Edler at the left point. To the goal line. Verbata centers. Loose puck comes free, and it's shot down the ice by Berglund. 35 seconds to go in the power play.
The only chance that Weber shot blocked by Patrick Berglund.
Here's Higgins in on the left wing. And he holds the puck in. That's a hand pass, however. And they'll bring the face-off outside the line with just 22 seconds to go in the Marcel Gottsmeyer.
Dan Hamhuis is arguing that that was touched after he knocked it down. Naturally, you're not going to win that argument. Jay Scherz was the linesman who made the call.
Bouwmeester dumps the puck down the ice. 15 seconds to go in the Canuck power play. Hamhuis finds room at center. Up the left wing, Higgins moves in. Puts it in front. Canino tried to swing one on goal. He fanned him. And the Blues dump the puck down. That'll do it. Here's Gotch onto the ice. Canucks 0 for 1 on the power play. Game still scoreless, and we're in the final minute of the first period. Spiza chases after the puck. He had his stick lifted. Blues turn it the other way. Hansen intercepts. Jannik Hansen flips the puck in, and Kennens moves in on Shattenkirk. He leaves the puck for Tarasenko, and back behind the goal for Kevin Shattenkirk. Long lead pass off a St. Louis stick. Bieksa goes back. Miss Spiza with that pass, and the Canucks turn the puck over. Thrown in front, Yashkin, while falling down, chopped one wide of the goal. Puck is kicked out by Bieksa. Kennens gives chase. Tarasenko winds up with the puck. Feeds it back to Gunnarsson. He passes to the side, and that's going to do it for period number 1. Canucks and the Blues scoreless through 20 minutes in St. Louis.
This period brought to you by Toyota. Comfort, style, technology, and one incredible drive. The 2015 Toyota RAV4. Let's play.
St. Louis Blues had a quick start. They wind up outshooting the Canucks just 10-9. And Brad, should we be surprised? Canucks can't score first. Blues can't score in the first. Wouldn't you know it? 0-0.
Welcome back to St. Louis, which is the hometown now of Chris Pronger, works for the Department of Player Safety. And Chris, some new bylaws in the Hockey Hall of Fame means you're eligible right away while still under contract with the Flyers. What did you think when you heard that news?
Well, I don't necessarily know if they did it for me, but it's certainly an honor to have my name bannered around with those that are up for it this year. And we'll see what happens, but it's out of my hands.
Canucks fans think the league is always out to get them. Is that unique to the Vancouver fan base?
I think it's unique to every team in the league. I've played on 5 teams in my career, and the league's been against all 5. I know Philly seems to think the league's against them. I know when I played here in St. Louis, things usually have a way of working themselves out. And I always go by the motto that if everybody hates you, you're doing your job right. So I would think that most teams think the league is not helping them in any way possible. So hopefully we are doing it, but we'll see.
Thanks for your time. Best of luck moving forward in this new job.
All right, thanks, guys.
Well, if that's the criteria, he did a pretty good job as a player, too.
Yes, he did. And every team he was on usually had a lot of dealings with the league.
Early offside call against the Canucks. 7 seconds into the second. Scoreless game. There's Jay Bouwmeester. Had his Ironman streak ended earlier this season.
Missed a couple of games recently.
Has the puck for the Blues. Backes takes the pass, pressured by Bieksa, but able to send the puck down into Vancouver territory. Spiza was checked by Oshie. Henrik Sedin comes back to help out. Works the puck behind the net. Bieksa takes possession and drops off for Spiza. Ahead to center. Here's Henrik Sedin crisscrossing with Daniel, who takes the pass on the left wing. Long shot juggled by Elliott, who now gathers the puck and grabs it for the whistle.
Good exit by Lucas Spiza to start the Sedins on this rush. Nice play, Bieksa and Spiza, D to D, and then the long pass. And there's Spiza. Nice wide open play. Enter the zone and take the shot. Elliott, really, you wonder why he had trouble with that long shot.
Canucks control off the draw. Tanev wrists one in front, intercepted by Gunnarsson. And here comes Patrick Berglund for St. Louis, dumping the puck to the corner. Berglund moves in on Tanev. They tie each other up. Puck to Kennan's weak clearing attempt, and that was held in by Pietrangelo. Here's Yashkin in for Berglund. Poke check by Tanev. Loose puck. Gunnarsson moves down to get there ahead of Hansen. Now Edler's going to get a penalty for taking down Stastny behind the goal. Elliott to the bench. Blues a long shot blocked. And Kennans has an empty net, but the whistle will blow as he picks up the puck. And the Canucks will be shorthanded for the first time in the game.
Well, Paul Stastny gets position on Alex Edler. And Edler has to reach around him. Stastny has position. Edler with the left arm reaches around on Paul Stastny, takes him down, and I would assume that's a holding penalty.
It is, and the Blues get their first power play, looking to break the scoreless deadlock. Blues have the #1 power play on the road this season, but overall they're 4th at 22.5%. Against the Vancouver penalty killing unit that ranks tied for 3rd. Gave up a couple in one game 2 games ago, but one of those was into an empty net by John Mitchell of the Colorado Avalanche. Edler off, so a key penalty killer in the box. Blues will start from their own end. Shattenkirk up the right side. Jori Lehtera moves in, throws on the brakes, runs into Nick Bonino, who's able to get the puck outside the blue line. Yashkin skates it back, and Shattenkirk takes his pass. 30 seconds gone in the penalty to Alex Edler. Here's Tarasenko. Slowly down the left, trying to find Jaden Schwartz. He comes up with the puck to the side of the goal, sends it to the blue line. Shattenkirk. Yashkin to Tarasenko. Here's Schwartz, fakes the shot. Shattenkirk. Tarasenko across. Schwartz. And off Lack and over the glass as he tried to go top shelf on the power play.
Eddie Lack with the good save, and Yashkin was in front. Well, they got a piece of this one. Schwartz takes the shot. Good save by Eddie Lack. Penalty killing is such a good art. Look at Nick Bonino here. Just slap this puck on the face-off. And that's one of those things that you get credit for a win on that. I hope you do, because that's a good play. The original center got waved out, so Bonino knew he had a good chance. Just slapped it down. Good, smart play.
Stastny wins this face-off, but the puck goes by Pietrangelo. Burrows hustles to it, and he chops it down into the St. Louis zone. Neither team's had a shot here. Oh, actually, the Canucks have had one, pardon me, the one that Elliott bobbled. Blues without a shot, and they've gone under a minute to go in this power play. As Oshie dumps the puck in, and Hughes finds a seam and sends the puck all the way down the ice. Canucks 3-0-1 in their last 4 visits to St. Louis. Pietrangelo stick handles through center. Backus runs into Bieksa. And here comes Mathias ahead to Hansen. He's got a breakaway. Shorthanded. Jannik Hansen stopped by Elliott. He got him with the glove.
Well, Jannik Hansen did a nice job to knock this pass down and give himself the breakaway, and then gives a little bit of the telegraph to Brian Elliott. He comes in, he's looking high glove side, and you can see Elliott's got that glove waiting for him. Hansen showed him shot all the way and couldn't freeze the goaltender. Elliott just stayed right with him.
Hansen has one of the Canucks' 5 shorthanded goals this year, but foiled there. And the power play continues with 15 seconds to go in the Edler minor. We're 3 minutes into the second, no score. Gunnarsson chips the puck in from center. And he's checked. Schwartz centers, and he just missed the man in front. Lehtera with the pass. Puck slides down the ice. Here's Edler out of the box, and both teams are 0 for 1 on the power play. Tarasenko pressured by Henrik Sedin. Puck comes free to Edler. Pass to Daniel Sedin. In on the right side. Daniel tried to hook one on goal. Puck deflects to the corner. Henrik Sedin is there. Vrbata as well. Henrik for Vrbata. Missed the pass. Daniel chases in on Gunnarsson. Pokes the puck up the boards. Edler blocked it. Vrbata trying to body Gunnarsson off the puck, but he gets to the head of Laterra, who backhands it outside the line and down to Vancouver territory. Canucks changing. They send one ahead. Another chance. Mathias Deed scores! Sean Mathias opens the scoring just shy of the 4-minute mark of the second. And the Canucks get that all-important and elusive first goal.
Boy, and you can see Ken Hitchcock, because the Blues decided to change at the same time the Canucks did. Look at Chris Tanev alertly gets to that puck, and you can see the Blues jumping off the bench. And nobody is near Sean Mathias. He goes backhand, forehand, and he gets Brian Elliott to freeze. And Elliott, he's frozen on the fake backhand. You can see Elliott fake backhand, and you can see Elliott go to his left just enough. And it's up and over and in.
Sean Mathias is 18th of the year, and that's second best on the Canucks. First in a little while, though. And now Vancouver offside at the St. Louis line.
Shorty update from Dallas. The Calgary Flames have gotten on the board to tie it. It's Weidman with his career-high 14th, the 1-1 hockey game in the first in Big D.
Thanks, Brad. Out-of-town scoreboard watching the other sport of the night. LA Kings are in Chicago. We'll keep an eye on that one as well. Mathias had gone 7 games without a goal. He's got one, and now he's bringing the puck towards the net. Mathias turns to the right wing boards. Pressured, back to the blue line. Dorsett works to hold the puck in the St. Louis zone. And now here's Mathias once more, trying to center the puck. Bouwmeester intercepts. His pass picked off at center by Hamhuis, who dumps the puck in, and the Canucks start a full change. Zdeněk McCulloch wrists the puck in from center. Back goes Lucas Sbisa, faked one way, then went the other. And he goes rink wide to Vrbata. Through center on the right wing, Vrbata in. BX a one-timer block, rebound! Higgins had his shot go off a St. Louis stick. He had the open side, but couldn't find it. Back come the Blues. Jokinen down the left side with a quick shot, swallowed up by Eddie Lack. And there'll be a face-off in the Vancouver zone. Canucks score first for just the 9th time in the last 33 games. And Sean Mathias produces a winner on Safeway Score and Win for Safeway and Kellogg's cereal. From Eris, congratulations, Sabrina Van Uden. You've won a Bulova Marine Star watch. And we spent some time researching exactly where that is. It's near Dawson Creek, not too far from Port St. John. And I have no clue if I said it right. Ronalds Kennens trying to move the puck out of his own zone. Can't do it, but now it's intercepted and brought out by Bo Horvat. Pass to Kennens, back to Horvat. His shot whistles off the glass. Hansen keeps the puck in. Gunnarsson takes it away and feeds out to center where Tanev takes control. Here's a lead pass for Jannik Hansen. Had to dive to try to take it. Blues take the puck back, and Berglund plays it in from center. Lack quickly to Edler. Cross to Henrik Sedin, who couldn't take that pass cleanly. Blues retake control as we hit the 6-minute mark of the second. 1-0 Vancouver. Christopher Tanev. Here's Alex Edler. Almost lost the puck to Laterra. Recovers to pick it up again. Rink wide, Daniel Sedin takes a lead pass from Henrik. Daniel down the left with a shot. That's off the stick of Shattenkirk, and the puck is over the glass for a whistle. Canucks have the first goal. Mathias is 17th, and the Canucks are up 1.
Welcome back to St. Louis, where the Safeway's featured participating product for tonight's game is Kellogg's cereal.
Oh, Frosted Flakes. My favorite. Now, second period, look at the St. Louis defenseman. Here's the change. And the St. Louis, he looks back, but it's too late. Sean Mathias is in. And the Deacon, you can see he hesitated, and Ken Hitchcock not happy about that.
Blues can clinch a playoff spot with a win of any kind in this game. They come in just 1-2-2 in their last 5. Alex Burrows has the puck deep in the St. Louis zone. Daniel Sedin in for Henrik Sedin. Daniel again behind the net for Burrows. That's cut off by McCulloch. He puts one off the stick of Daniel Sedin, held in by Bieksa, but it was a high stick from Daniel. And the whistle blows. Gives us a chance to check out John Garrett's Fresh Take. It's brought to you by Subway. Eat fresh.
Well, here's a fresh bit of ice time. Ronnie Cannons throw the body around, a couple of good hits. Jannik Hansen with a good chance. Bo Horvat going to the net. And when you're playing like this, look at where it all is. In the offensive zone, you're going to get more ice time. And in that first period, they had more ice time than anybody else. Cannons had 6:09 in that first period.
Bonino, Verbata, and Higgins out right now for Vancouver. Trying to get the puck out of their own zone. Verbata intercepts. Moves in on Gunnarsson. Now turns on the left. Verbata across. Weber shoots. Kicked up by the right pad of Elliott. And Tarasenko brings the puck the other way with a pass to Gunnarsson. Drop feed. Schwartz slows. Centers. Tarasenko diving. Couldn't poke the puck. And Higgins brings it back for Vancouver. Verbata plays it in from center, and Pietrangelo goes back. Works the puck to Gunnarsson. Here's Schwartz. Ahead for Pietrangelo. Matthias comes back to intercept the puck. 7.5 minutes into the second. 1-0 Vancouver. Chris Tanev to Alex Edler. In with a wrist shot. That went off Barrett Jackman. Lyndon Vey after the loose puck. Gunnarsson gets there ahead of him. Slides it ahead to Marcel Gotcha, gets the puck to center. Ryan Reeves one-hands into the Vancouver zone. He's wanted to get a piece of Tanev, but was angled off by Edler. Now Gotcha's onto the puck with some room. Round the net. Edler checked him. Gotcha gets it again, tries to drag it out front. Where's the puck? Edler was able to kick it free to Vey. And Lyndon Vey skates forward for Vancouver. Pass to Derek Dorsett. In with Matthias. Dorsett works his way to the right wing corner. Shoots one wide. And Horvat wisely jumped over that puck as Vey wasn't quite on the Vancouver bench. Bieksa for Horvat. Pokes the puck forward. Hansen chases after. Bieksa follows up. Gets the puck to Spiza. Pass to Horvat. Tried to throw it for Hansen, who takes the puck on the ricochet. Taken away from him by Stastny. And here comes Yashkin. Backhands the puck in. Bieksa goes back. Up the near side. Hansen lost the puck in his skates. Horvat's there to poke it ahead. Jay Bomeister checks in. And back from the Blues, but Hansen thwarts the rush. McCulloch turning with the puck. 9 minutes into the second. And the Blues play it back behind the Vancouver goal. Lucas Spiza to center. Gets to the Blues line, dumps the puck in, and heads to the bench. Alex Burrows into the corner for Henrik Sedin, back for Burrows. Brings the puck in front, rolled off the end of his stick before he could get a shot away, and Jokinen clears it into the Vancouver end. Handhuse trying to get away from Jokinen, now drops the puck back for Weber. Yannick Weber, long feed to center, is off Daniel Sedin, right to Burrows. Here's Henrik in on the right side. Slows. Henrik back for Weber. Lost the puck as he made a move. Handhuse holds it in. Taken away by TJ Oshie. And he gets it ahead to David Backes. Lead feed. Jokinen moving in on Handhuse. Turns on the boards. Blues are changing. Drop pass. Gunnarsson fired it wide. Daniel Sedin can't get the puck out, nor can Handhuse. But Weber collects the puck with room. And the Canucks will change as he brings it ahead to center. Handhuse delays before sending the puck into the St. Louis zone. We're past the halfway mark of the second. Sean Matthias has the game's only goal. Here comes Carl Gunnarsson in on the left wing. Wrist shot wide. Pietrangelo on the rebound. He missed the net as well. Gunnarsson tries again. That was blocked by Tanev. Couldn't find the puck in his skates, but now it's brought out. 3 Canucks to center. Radim Verbata in on the right wing. Verbata slap shot, stopped by Elliott. Verbata again, chops one off the side of the goal. And Schwartz clears the puck to the line. Edler holds it in, but hands it right to Jaden Schwartz. Tarasenko dumps the puck in. Both teams change once more. Lack with the quick up to Bonino. No icing. Dorsett moves in after the puck. Around for Matthias. Reeves gets there ahead of him, but Matthias comes up with the puck and stick handles in traffic. Here's Vey trying to backhand one in front. Reeves breaks that up, but Vey gets the puck again. Dorsett's after it as well, taken away by Gotch. And the Blues break the center. Steve off. Stops. Wrists one in front. That winds up in the corner. Now thrown on goal again. Intercepted by Spiza, but he gave the puck up. Ott looking in front. Pass deflects to Lyndon Vey. Bieksa can't clear it past Reeves. Dorsett defending without a stick. And the Blues hold the puck in the zone. Ott. St. Louis starting to change while on the attack. Here's a long shot. Lax got it. Cruising through was Reeves looking for a deflection, but he couldn't make contact. Canucks had one, they were looking for another. Verbata to Weber, but couldn't beat Elliott.
It's not that often the best friends get to face each other in the National Hockey League. That's the case over Nick Bonino and Kevin Shattenkirk. Shattenkirk, the best man at Bonino's wedding this past summer. The two met at college, Boston University, were teammates, won a national championship together, were roommates their sophomore and junior years, and plus in the summer when they were training. They say that they love these games, they're competitive, they won't pass up a chance to hit each other, and bragging rights are certainly on the line.
Naturally, Canucks radio color man Dave Tomlinson in conversation with both today, the BU connection.
They're still playing.
Once a BUer, always a BUer. Ronnie Kennan's in on the forecheck. Now comes up with a puck, cuts in front. Kennan shoots off a stick and wide of the goal. Kennans gets it again. Tries another shot. That was blocked in front. Pietrangelo gets the puck. And sends one up the middle. Schwartz. Pass intercepted by Edler. Dumps the puck the other way. Perfectly to Hansen. In with Horvat. Hansen with a wrist shot. And that goes off his skate and over the glass for a whistle.
Shots are 13-12, more than halfway through this game. This is the kind with the way St. Louis started. They had 4 shots in the first 4 minutes. Really came out hard. The Canucks weathered that storm, and now it's settling into a kind of game that the road team likes.
Shots are 5-2 Canucks in the second. Face-off win for Bonino. Higgins trying to make something happen along the boards. Puck comes free to Bouwmeester. Missed Jokinen with that pass. Not enough for icing. Hand use goes back. Not enough for icing tonight.
Yes, I wonder if Chris Pronger has anything to say about
There's
that.
a goal and a shot from McCulloch. Canucks could have used the icing call they got against them the other night. This time play went on as it should have, and McCulloch rips it in to tie the game at 1.
Well, the Canucks come back in their own zone. Dan Hamhuis turns and then gets stripped of the puck. Back to the point, and the shot through the screen. I don't know whether David Backes gets a piece of this or it hits somebody in front. Eddie Lack doesn't see it, that's for sure.
I think it's McCulloch's goal because TJ Oshie went and grabbed the puck. It's his first as a Blue.
Blues goal, his third of the season. Scored by number 6.
And it is McCulloch's third of the year. First is a Blue. He's got the puck again. Down for Yashkin. Checked by Weber. Bonino feeds ahead to Verbata. Here's Verbata on the left wing. Drops back. Bieksa with room. Long shot just wide. Rebound. Bonino scores! Nick Bonino. 31 seconds after the Blues tied the game, restores the 1-goal lead for the Canucks.
Shipped after a goal.
Not bad.
What did I say about when they're announcing the goal? I know it's bad when you get scored on yourself, but come right back. And Radim Verbata again. Look at this patience. Back to the point. Good intentional miss, and Bonino's right there to play the carom off the boards. Chris Higgins in front. Gets everybody to come to him, and that leaves Bonino all by himself.
Second goal in as many games for Nick Bonino. Into the open goal with Elliott overcommitting to the one side. And as mentioned, 31 seconds is all it took for the Canucks to regain the lead. Now Oshie at the other end. Pass picked off by Alex Burrows. Henrik Sedin takes that one deftly off his skate, but Daniel was bumped at the line, and that put the play offside.
Another update from Dallas. Tyler Seguin on the power play, walking in, and look at this shot through the screen and to the corner, beating Hiller. 2-1 Dallas. They are through 20 minutes.
Nick Bonino, as you say, back-to-back games with goals. His confidence has to be higher, but how about Radim Vrbata when he set up Weber, same kind of play, gain the blue line with patience, wait for the guy to come late, and then that set up that goal.
Canucks offside again. We'll tell you about another winner on Score and Win for Safeway and Kellogg's cereal from Aldergrove. Bonnie Mason, congratulations. You've won a Blu-ray prize pack from E1. Another point for Radim Vrbata as well on this goal by Nick Bonino.
And what a good play by Kevin Bieksa. A good smart play. No way he could get his shot through, so bank it off the boards.
Look out. Puck whistles into the Vancouver bench. Narrowly missed assistant coach Doug Lidster. And Mike Bernstein as well.
He's bailing. We saw our buddy Brian Engblom take one off the forehead yesterday.
Yes.
And you can see Kevin Bieksa and Mike Bernstein.
Always so uptight, Kevin, at the bench. Radim Vrbata now has 28 points in his last 30 games with the assist on that goal by Nick Bonino. Ryan Reeves, pass to center, intercepted by Tanev, and Vey passes back to Tanev. 6 minutes to go in the second, 2-1 Canucks. Edler took a hit from Ott in front of the St. Louis bench. Now he's got the puck. Over to Tanev, who slams it into St. Louis territory. Pietrangelo. Up the near side, Ott. The veteran winger shovels the puck forward. Gotch moves in, drops for Reeves on the left side, trying to send it on goal. Now Gotch is able to sweep it towards the net. And Eddie Lack got the paddle down, made the save. Dorsett and Reeves are in close quarters.
Now Ott is trying to get something going.
Looks like they'll separate. We'll step aside. Canucks are back on top here, 2-1 in St. Louis.
Have you ever done that?
No.
No, me either. I'm going to have to try that. Land rape by the Empress there.
Bucket list.
Yes.
Shot by Shattenkirk. That hit a body in front. Chris Tanev skates the puck to center. Schwartz tried to give him a bump, fell down as Tanev played the puck in. Kennings collides with Gunnarsson. Henrik Sedin's after the puck. Bo Horvat is heading to the Vancouver dressing room injured. That's why Henrik Sedin is out there right now with Hansen and Kennings, and we'll keep an eye on Bo Horvat. As a shot by Stastny goes wide of the goal. Now thrown in front, Berglund deeks, and he backhanded wide. Thrown in front again, and intercepted by Hansen. He delays before sending one forward, picked off by Gunnarsson. Canucks medical trainer Mike Bernstein followed Horvat to the dressing room. So the Canucks down as center for the moment with just under 5 minutes to go in the second period. Gunnarsson up for Laterra, and he backhands the puck into the Canucks zone. Tanev behind the net. Pass went off the stick, but he got it through to Vrbata. Edler with some room at center. And he risks a rolling puck into the St. Louis zone. Laterra the other way, pass blocked by Higgins. Laterra forces the puck to the far side of the ice. Handhuse is there. Chops one ahead. Bonino couldn't take it off his skate, and the Blues have possession in their own zone. 4 minutes left in the second. 2-1 Vancouver. And Alex Burrows flips the puck in, flipped it out of play. And that stops play.
Well, that's good news for the Canucks. And we saw him jump over the bench to go to the dressing room. Here's Bo Horvat, loses a face-off. The shot from Shattenkirk hits him on the inside of the knee. And that was probably a stinger. You can see him pointing down to Jannik Hansen where he got hit.
So the Canucks back to their full complement. And after the puck in the St. Louis zone, Oshie hooks it ahead to Jokinen. Backus poke checked at center. Burrows dumps the puck behind the St. Louis goal. Sedin linesman pretty quiet to this point. Burrows has the puck at center, and he risks it back in. Pietrangelo overskated it. Here's Henrik Sedin. He's checked, and Oshie trying to bring the puck out, lost it in his feet.
Canucks are lucky there. Both of the defensemen changed when Henrik turned that puck over.
Spiza steps up at center to knock that pass away. Ryan Reeves tips the puck into the Vancouver zone. Daniel Sedin was unable to get off the ice. His line mates are gone. And now he'll head to the bench as the puck is flipped into the St. Louis zone. Under 3 minutes to go in the second. Canucks leading by a goal. Looking for the season sweep of the Blues. Eddie Lack plays the puck around. Now it's right up the middle. Off with a shot. He missed the net. Gotch behind the goal. Trying to get away from Vey. Lyndon Vey takes the puck away. Ott takes it right back to the blue line. Long shot by McCulloch, and that was blocked. Here's Barrett Jackman with a wrist shot, blocked by Bieksa. Ott gets to the loose puck. McCulloch lets it go. Blocked in front. Rebound, right pad saved by Lack as he foiled Ryan Reeves on a bang-bang play, and now the puck contacted with a high stick. And the whistle blows. Hey, Canada. It's time to vote for a Rogers Cheer Like Never Before contest winner. Go to hometownhockey.com/cheer for details. Voting closes April 4th.
Boy, what a save by Eddie Lack. This puck is knocked down in front, and Lack able to follow it, find it, and then out goes the right leg to make the save. Shot's knocked down in front, and Lack quickly reacts.
Keeps his team up by 1. Horvat out for his first shift since being shaken up. Passes back to Alex Edler, who finds Chris Tanev. Jannik Hansen in on the right wing with a long wrist shot. Blockered away by Elliott. Blues throw the puck ahead. Here's Berglund at center. Sliding the puck to the corner. Tanev goes back. Schwartz is on him. Able to work the puck to Horvat. His clearing attempt hit a leg. Puck stayed in the zone momentarily. Now it's out to center. Hansen in. Line mates with him. And they say Kennings just preceded the puck in as Hansen made a move at the line. Murph.
John Chevrolet is committed to safety on the roads as well as on the ice. To find out more about the Chevrolet Safe and Fun Hockey program, log on to safeandfunhockey.ca.
Took Jay Shares a couple of seconds to figure that one out.
I think he called it onside before Hansen made the move.
Yeah, he moved it back outside the blue line. He was right on it.
Like we say, probably the right call,
yes,
as it is 99.9% of the time.
Jay usually does make the right call.
Weber trying to risk the puck in. Now he follows up to play it down the boards, but the Blues get the puck the other way. And here's Tarasenko moving in on Handhuse. Tarasenko couldn't get a shot off. Gashkin after the rebound put it wide. And Bonino looks up ice. Ahead for Verbata, runs into Bouwmeester. Verbata fishing for the puck, able to force it into the blue zone. Bouwmeester goes around for Pietrangelo. Ahead for Tarasenko. Indirect pass to Yashkin, who's down the left wing. Yashkin shoots. Lack juggled it. Rebound cleared to the side. Bouwmeester dumps it around. Final minute, second period. Canucks leading by 1. And Higgins able to bring the puck out, get it to Verbata, who started change by sliding it in. At least he was hoping to. Canucks get a partial change done. Now Verbata heads to the bench as Yashkin moves into the Vancouver zone. The X intercepts. Around for Spiza. Across to Henrik Sedin, who's in over the St. Louis line. Daniel on the left wing. In front for Burrows. Blocked by McCulloch. Here's Daniel again. Onto the right wing for Henrik. In for Daniel. Missed the pass. Burrows and Backus go after the puck, and the Blues get it ahead. Oshie chips the puck past Spiza, but couldn't get himself past the Canuck defenseman. Henrik Sedin lines up with the puck around to Daniel. Stood up by Backus, but able to work the puck to Burrows. Final 5 seconds of the period. Burrows with a long shot, knocked down by Elliott. And that's going to do it for the second here in St. Louis. Canucks get a couple in the middle frame. Nick Bonino, the go-ahead goal, just 31 seconds after Zdeněk McCulloch had tied it for the St. Louis Blues. And the Canucks in the first of a 4-game road trip in decent shape. Send it back to you, Brad, with Vancouver leading 2-1 through 40.
Canucks open the gateway to the West as a gateway to a Western Conference playoff spot, up a goal in the Blues just prior here to the third period. Scoring summary is brought to you by Panago Pizza. Before, during, or after the game, get a fresh Panago. Thias with his 18th opened the scoring. McCulloch with his third and first for Blue tied things up, but shortly after, Bonino and his 15th gave the Canucks the lead. Bonino coming on lately, guys. Good news for the Canucks.
Yeah, he has 3 goals in his last 6, John. That came on the heels of an 8-game scoreless drought.
Well, get in position to shoot, and I think that's what we've seen with Nick Bonino. Nice pass from Radim, but he's in a position to shoot. And this one, he gets it on the forehand. Why? Because he gets in a position to shoot. See his feet shuffle around so that he's on the forehand, and he can get something on that shot. And sometimes when you're not on a roll, you hesitate and you don't get ready, and your chances of scoring aren't near as good.
Second straight game, the Canucks take a 2-1 lead into the third period. They managed just a single point against Dallas their last outing. They'll try for better here tonight against the Blues as we get underway in the third, and Spiza chips the puck ahead to Daniel Sedin, who plays it over the St. Louis blue line. Jokinen through center, tips the puck in behind the goal. Oshie pursuing Spiza, gives the puck away to TJ Oshie. Fan on his centering pass, and Spiza is able to tap it around to Kevin Bieksa. Pass across to Henrik Sedin. He plays a soft shooting. Elliott out to get the puck, hands it to Alex Burrows. Behind the net to Daniel Sedin. Daniel turns the other way, banks the puck back. Here's Tanev, long shot. Burrows got a piece of it, tipped it to the corner. Henrik Sedin trying to get away from Bouwmeester. 2 Blues are on the Canuck captain. And back for the puck is the Blues captain, but he gives it away. Edler with a shot, stopped by Elliott, and the puck winds up on the stick of Pietrangelo, who gives it away to Verbata. Sharp angle shot, and Elliott wasn't square, but he was able to make the save and hang on.
Update and good news for Canucks fans. The Blackhawks now up 3-1. Jarmelson with his 100th career point gives the Blackhawks the 2-goal advantage early in the second period at home against the Kings. Back to Shorty and John Garrett.
Canucks getting some help on the out-of-town scoreboard. Can they help themselves? Lots of time yet. A minute gone in the third, and an icing call will bring the face-off back into the St. Louis zone.
Well, if they can play every shift like the Sedins played the first shift, play it in the offensive zone, work the boards, they've been able to do that other than about the first 7 or 8 minutes of this game.
Weathered that storm. Got out of the first scoreless, and goals from Mathias and Bonino in the second with a McCulloch tally sandwiched in between, and that's it for the scoring. Berglund after the puck at center. Now it goes out of play beside the penalty box. We can tell you that this week on Scotiabank Wednesday Night Hockey, what are we going to call this? The McEichel Bowl? The Maple Leafs, the Sabres. 4 o'clock it starts Pacific time on Sportsnet.
Isn't that the only night we're not doing a game this week?
We'll be able to watch.
We will be able to watch.
In Chicago, Canucks will be getting set to play the Blackhawks on Thursday. Yuri Laterra ahead for Vladimir Tarasenko. Couldn't get the puck past Dan Hamhuis. Now Laterra shovels it forward. Tanev for Vancouver. A little tweak on the defense pair here, and we'll check to see if anybody's missing at the Vancouver bench. As Hamhuis and Tanev play together, Schwartz had the puck knocked away by Tanev, who now tips it forward for Jannik Hansen, but he missed the puck, and Shattenkirk holds it in. And the Canucks are missing someone from the bench, John.
Yep. So you're assuming it's Yannick Weber?
I'm assuming it's not Yannick Weber because he's on the ice. Might it be Kevin Bieksa? Mathias backhands the puck forward. Blues send it the other way. But Weber will win the race on Reeves, and that's an icing call against the Canucks. This is the first of a 4-game road trip for the Vancouver Canucks, and we've talked about the difficulty of it and the time frame, John. It's a lot of tough games in a short amount of time.
Well, and such meaningful games for the teams that they're playing against, too, because that Central Division, everybody's trying to finish first. Nashville has played 2 more games than everybody else.
Weber out with Spiza now, so we're going to assume it's Kevin Bieksa missing from the Vancouver bench. As the puck in on Elliott. McCulloch pressured by Matthias, able to dump the puck around for Barrett Jackman. Jackman fanned on his pass. Dorsett's after the puck. Jackman shielding it away from the Canuck forechecker. Marcel Gotch feeds ahead. They turn it over once more. Dorsett on the backhand, tried to get one on goal. That was blocked. Here's Matthias. Puck knocked away from him. Jackman gets it ahead, and it's tapped out by Reeves. Hand use got in his way. It's an icing call against St. Louis.
Reeves was trying to draw a penalty. Skated right into Dan Hamhuis. Yes, and there is no Kevin Bieksa as we look at the defenseman side.
Canucks going with 5D for the time being. We'll try to get an update from the Vancouver dressing room.
Mike Bernstein is still on the bench.
Blues clear the zone, and they'll be able to make their change now, as that puck didn't have enough for icing. Tanev starts out for Vancouver. Lees for Edler, who gains the red, risks the puck around to the far side. Burrows on Bouwmeester, who's able to work the puck to Alex Pietrangelo. He carries ahead and risks the puck in. Jokinen missed it. Burrows collects. Dumps one across, gloved down by Pietrangelo, who makes a quick pivot on Daniel Sedin, gets the puck to Backus. Checked at the Vancouver line, and Burrows sends the puck the other way. Here's Bieksa returning to the Vancouver bench. So the Canucks have their full complement of defensemen. Nearing the 4-minute mark of the third. Backus in on the right wing with a shot off the mask of Eddie Lack. Loose puck. Jokinen couldn't find it. Benino clears to the line, held in by Shattenkirk. Kevin Shattenkirk doesn't shoot. Now he does. He missed the net. Another shot by Backus is stopped by Lack. And I'm sorry, John, I've seen it too many times in the last 2 weeks. He's stopping these pucks with his head on purpose.
No, that was, I think that might have hit a stick.
Here's Berglund in with a shot. He missed the net. You wince every time because I know how many stitches you would have taken.
No, that old mask.
It's Benino who's shaken up, trying to retrieve his stick and stay in the play. Checking for damage as the Blues tee it up to the far point, and the shot goes wide. Gunnarsson holds the puck in. Here's Stastny back to Berglund, and a shot into the glove of Lack. Shattenkirk looks to the heavens after that one as he tested Lack from the top of the circle.
There was Steve Ott rolling around in the crease. Here's the shot and handled by Eddie Lack, and you can see Steve Ott after the glove saved by Eddie Lack.
Kevin Bieksa on the whistle came out, had a quick skate. He's going to do it again as Eddie Lack buys some time at the bench, and Bieksa testing something it looks like in one of the lower extremities.
Or maybe a new skate plate.
Or maybe a new skate plate. In any event, looks like he's good to go next time his number's called, and Eddie Lack may have to change masks.
Switching masks after that one hit him high from about 40 feet out.
I know you and Jim Benning were in conversation today that
yes,
they might have to turn to you should the Canucks go down a goalie like Boston did this week, and Bob Essenza had to suit up when Tuukka Rask left the game.
Can you imagine? No, you would be mocking me so much.
I've fallen and I can't get up. Here's Hansen wristing a long one in on Elliott. Almost 5 minutes into the third, 2-1 Vancouver. Horvat couldn't come up with the puck. It's onto the stick of Tarasenko, rink wide at center. Laterra trying to move in on a pass from Schwartz, and now gets the puck on the left wing. Schwartz to the blue line. Bouwmeester long test, deflects to Jannik Hansen. And he's able to bring the puck to center and backhand it in on Brian Elliott. Shots are 3 apiece here in the third, 19 each in the hockey game. Canucks lead by 1. Day out with Matthias and Dorsett. This is the first of the final back-to-back situation for the Canucks this season. They played 12 of them. They're 9-2 so far in the first game. Vey stripped to the puck. Gotch took a pretty good chop from Dorsett, then passed over for Jackman. Following up is Marcel Gott, slamming one in off Lucas Spiza, and here's Kevin Bieksa back out and collecting the puck behind his own net.
Boy, that's one of the things I'd say to Derek Dorsett right now, especially you, make sure you don't give them an easy power play.
Going to give them an icing call here. Couldn't catch up that pass to Matthias, and here's Murph.
Shop at Safeway today, watch future Sportsnet telecasts, and you could win an all-inclusive trip for two to a Grand Bahia Principe resort courtesy of redtag.ca, where Canada shops for great travel deals.
Well, Derek Dorsett has 167 penalty minutes, so he's naturally, the referees, he's a target. And that little slash, he could have been called for there.
Been just 2 penalties in the hockey game. 1 to each team. Both clubs are 0 for 1 on the power play. Shattenkirk sends one ahead. Oshie sidesteps Bieksa. Burrows back for the puck. Hughes able to get it away from Jokinen, and here comes Alex Burrows with Sean Matthias, who'll peel off to the bench after the puck is played into the St. Louis zone. Oshie works it free, and here's Backus to TJ Oshie. Moving in on Weber, he slides the puck to the corner. Hughes is there. He's checked by Jokinen. Ole Jokinen finds some room in the corner. Banks the puck towards the blue line. Burrows picked that off, but couldn't move it out. Now a chance for Weber. And he skates to center and backhands the puck in behind the St. Louis goal. Weber and Jokinen mixing it up behind the play as they head to their respective benches. Here's Berglund dumping the puck in from center. Edler tips it to the corner. Tanev's onto the puck. Ahead for Higgins, who gets it out. Canucks have 3 to center. Verbata moving in. He's got Bonino in front. Verbata shoots, scores! Off the rush, Radim Verbata gets his 31st, and the Canucks lead 3-1.
Boy, oh boy, he makes it easier for those of us who are picking stars. Radim Verbata, almost every game, he's just, as we saw a defensive play earlier, and here's an offensive play. Look, and then what a shot. He's just so good. Head up, head up, head up, and right in between on Brian Elliott. Not high enough for the blocker, not low enough for the pad. And Elliott gets a little piece of it, but not enough.
What a month of March for number 17 for the Canucks. And he's got 1 more to go tomorrow in Nashville. Canucks have 13 minutes to go in this game, now leading by 2. Blues in. Schwartz with a shot. That's off Tanev's stick and over the glass for a whistle. Canucks had a 1-goal lead coming into the period. Radim Verbata's made it 2. 3-1 as we step aside from St. Louis.
Fast and furious in Dallas. Yuri Hudler tied it, and then Rafael Diaz with the dangle and the Lanny McDonald wraparound. 3-2, the Flames lead in Dallas in the second, John.
Oh, wow. Canucks will be glad for the 2-goal lead. With that news coming, Scott Trade Center in St. Louis. Here's your first goal. Scores Sean Matthias. Nick Bonino got the second Canuck goal. Radim Verbata, his 31st here in the third. Here's a shot off the draw. And Tarasenko stopped by Eddie Lack.
Vancouver goal, his 31st of the season. Scored by number
Schwartz slides the puck back in. Higgins and Tanev the assists on the Verbata goal. So Tanev 2 more helpers in this game. He had 2 last game against Dallas. And Verbata has his 16th multi-point game of the season. That's 3rd best on the team. Carl Gunnarsson with the puck. Passes to Kevin Shattenkirk. He backhands the puck in. Bieksa from behind the goal. Puck knocked away. Tarasenko upended. There'll be a penalty. Delayed call. Shot by Jokinen. Tap to the corner. Tarasenko's hurt. Might have injured one of his legs as he was upended cutting towards the goal. And now back onto his feet and trying to skate it off.
Well, here's the giveaway, and you can see Tarasenko. Kevin Bieksa is reaching for the puck. Takes him down.
He'll suffer in silence at the bench as we tell you about another score and win winner for Safeway and Kellogg's cereal. From Powell River, Donna Jameson, you've won a Hoover Air cordless vacuum.
And it wasn't Kevin Bieksa who got the penalty, it was Lyndon Bay. Hey, here's another look at Radim Verbata. What a shot. That little toe hook that he has. It's hard to read the puck off his stick, and he beats Brian Elliott.
8:08, the time of the minor penalty. Blues get their second power play.
And a case
Now
of
they're
mistaken identity.
Now they're going to get Bieksa in the box, I think. Man, this is a messy score sheet. So much scribbling out. We thought Dorsett took the game's first penalty. It was Gotch earlier in the shift. And now Kevin Bieksa given the news that he, in fact, should be making the long skate to the box, and he will.
Me? For what? Yes. What did they call it?
2 minutes. Higgins intercepts. They called it tripping, to answer your question.
Thank you.
Canucks with the early clear, and Pietrangelo starts out for the Blues. Oshie rings one in from center. Backus after the puck. Pressured by Spiza, knocked to the ice. Fans react to that. Handhuse gets to the loose puck. Shields it away from the Blues player and wrists it high and down the ice. Canucks change all 4 penalty killers. Minute 25 to go in the minor penalty to Kevin Bieksa. Yori Laterra. Rink-wide pass. Tarasenko, who drew the penalties, back out there. Tried to get it around. It's off Tanev sticking out of play, and Tarasenko looks like he might head back to the bench. We'll see. He's still laboring.
Yes. Now here's David Backus. He feels a little pressure from behind and tries to draw the penalty. He's not going to get the call.
Tarasenko's staying out, although there's 6 skaters out there right now. And now Yashkin giving him a tap on the pants, maybe telling him to head off. No, they're not pulling the goalie. They got too many guys.
Okay, and what's the referee going to do about that?
I think Yashkin was asking Tarasenko if he wanted to leave the ice, and Tarasenko said no, so Yashkin skates back to the bench. Edler rings the puck around. Maybe if it was 5-on-5, Tarasenko would want to go.
Yes.
Power play time. He'll shake it off and try to make a difference. Minute to go in the man advantage. Schwartz backhands the puck in. Edler after it. Tanev as well. And Edler finds some room and sends the puck off the stick of Berglund and down into the St. Louis
And
zone.
now Tarasenko's going up. Tarasenko's played every game for the Blues. He and Pietrangelo, the only 2 guys.
He's still hurting, you can tell.
Yes.
Oshie trying to move in. Offside was Backus on the far wing, and the whistle blows with 34 seconds to go in the Bieksa minor.
Canucks penalty killers do a great job standing up at the blue line. Glenn Gulletson has them trained in there again, and they talk about the gap between the forwards and the defense. Not much, and force the Blues to be offside.
Puck shot in by Bouwmeester. Handhuse to Spiza. And another clear for the Canucks, leaving only 20 seconds to go in the Blues power play, and the fans getting a little frustrated. Pietrangelo starts out. Jay Bouwmeester in on the left wing. Dumps one around. Oshie lets it go through to Backus. Back to Bouwmeester. Couldn't take it cleanly. Works the puck to Pietrangelo. Long shot. Can of corn for Eddie Lack. And there's just 1 second to go in the power play.
Eddie Lack with a good stop. No rebound. Pietrangelo just snaps it. Good job in front of the net by Lucas Spiza, making sure that TJ Oshie wasn't there for the screen.
Only shot he's had to face. And with the power play over, we're going to take a short break here from St. Louis. Canucks kill it off and still lead by 2.
In a game they were being badly outplayed in, the Flames have taken control, and now Johnny Gaudreau. Look at that shot. 4-2, the Flames lead late in the second. Dallas changed the goalie, John.
So the Flames looking good in their game. Same margin as the Canucks have in this one. Eddie Lack has stopped 21 of 22.
That mask has been repaired. His original one is back on.
All is right. Handhuse put his glove on that puck for a moment. Now again, Henrik Sedin trying to get it ahead to Daniel. Pass back to Handhuse, and he turns and starts from behind the goal. Pass to Henrik Sedin. His feed for Daniel, picked off, and the Blues come back. Backus in, checked by Hamhuis. Daniel Sedin takes a hit at center from Bouwmeester, but now gets the puck at his own blue line. Pass for Henrik broken up. Daniel able to play the puck over the St. Louis line. Bouwmeester fires across to Pietrangelo. Up the middle of Oshie. He wants off the ice, so he deflects the puck in and heads to the bench. Just over 9 minutes left in the third. Yashkin to Laterra. Bieksa goes back for the puck. Schwartz checks in. Bieksa pins Schwartz in the corner. Hansen ahead to Kennens. Can't get it by Zbynek McCulloch. But Spies is able to clear the zone. Barrett Jackman rips it back in from about the spot he scored on Andre Pavlik a few weeks ago.
Oh, he was much closer on that one.
Was he? Here's Jannik Hansen in on the left wing. Horvat, the trailer. Pass comes back, and Bieksa tried to return it to Hansen, who winds up with the puck in the corner and dumps it around to the near side. Bieksa down the boards for Horvat. That's broken up. And Schwartz plays the puck out. Spiza has it to Dorsett, who dumps it back in. Dorsett moves in on Jackman, who's able to work the puck to McCulloch. Laterra checked by Vey. And Mathias drops the puck back to Alex Edler. 8 minutes remaining in the third. Fans being a little hard on a 99-point team, you'd think. But then again, the Blues came into this one with just one win in their last 5. Puck flipped in wide of the Vancouver goal. Tanev bodied in the corner by Shattenkirk. Vey comes back to help, and Tanev has a chance to move the puck once more. Around for Edler. And now to Mathias, who lost the puck in his feet. Gunnarsson moves down from the point to hold it in. Here's Berglund. Pass over. Shattenkirk shoots. Blocked by Tanev. And Mathias calmly gets the puck out. Shattenkirk throws it forward to Steve Ott. His pass disrupted by Christopher Higgins. But TJ Oshie comes up with the puck. Down to 7 minutes left. Canucks 3, the Blues 1. Oshie tips the puck in. Weber goes back, being watched by Jokinen. Puck comes free. Fans react as Hamhuis took a hard hit. Puck stays in the Vancouver zone. Weber gets it by Oshie and out to center. Verbata trying to move through the neutral zone, but Oshie comes back in. Pass over, Pietrangelo to Jokinen towards the goal. Centering pass blocked by Weber. And Yannick Weber backhands the puck outside the line. Oshie flips it back in and starts another change. Daniel Sedin to Henrik Sedin. In on the left wing. Feeds back. Bieksa gave the puck away to Laterra. And here's Jaden Schwartz. Henrik Sedin closes the gap on him. Schwartz, though, gets away from him. Centers, sprawling, was Bieksa to make the play. And Daniel Sedin brings the puck to center. Gunnarsson intercepts at his own blue line. Schwartz back for Yashkin, who drops the puck to Gunnarsson. Under 6 minutes to go in the third. Here's a lead pass. Stastny moves in. His pass picked off. Kennens turns at his own blue line. To Edler. Look out. He hands it to the blue in front. Here's Berglund over top of the net. After Edler put it on the stick of Steve Ott. What a chance for the Blues, but the Canucks still lead by 2. McCulloch to Berglund. Pass was out of the reach of Stastny. Edler takes a hard hit from Berglund, but is able to clear the zone. McCulloch at center. Pass ahead. Ott ran into Hansen. And Bonino passes the puck to Dan Hamhuis. Bonino deflects the puck in with 5 minutes to go in the third. Backus, lead pass to Jokinen. Turns to get away from Weber. Back to Bouwmeester. His shot hit Hamhuis, who gets the puck ahead. Weber gets it off his stick and outside the line. Here's Jokinen. Across to Backus. Oshie from the corner. Goes behind the goal. Tries to center. Knocked away by Eddie Lack. Bonino gets the puck and flips it to the line, past Bouwmeester. Here comes Verbata with Higgins. Verbata centers, Higgins lost the puck in his skates, and the Blues come back the other way. Pietrangelo with St. Louis changing. Drop pass intercepted, and Henrik Sedin clears the zone.
Well, what a nice pass by Verbata behind the back, and Higgins just couldn't handle it.
Yashkin, left side, Schwartz throws one in front, that was blocked. Burrows gets the loose puck and brings it out. Shattenkirk took a run at him. 4 minutes left. Canucks leading 3-1. Burrows couldn't intercept that pass. And here comes Jaden Schwartz in on the right wing. Backhands one in front. Puck slides all the way to the far corner. Burrows hit by Yashkin, but absorbs the check and shields the puck away from the Blues, who now dig it free. But Burrows is onto it again. To the line, not out. Gunnarsson long shot. Broke his stick, I think. Yashkin, and that might have grazed the post. Now Yashkin once more. Puck comes to the blue line. Henrik Sedin sprawling, couldn't knock it out. 3.5 to go. Spiza intercepts. Ahead for Daniel Sedin, and the puck is outside the line. Horvat intercepts at center. And slides the puck in on the left wing. Gunnarsson starts from behind the goal. Stastny takes the pass ahead to Ott. Berglund giving chase. Tanev, though, works the puck free to Dorsett. Hansen trying to move out, couldn't. So Dorsett taking a shift here in place of Ronald's Kennings. Here's a long shot by Bouwmeester. That hit Edler at the side of the goal. And he gets the puck off Horvat sticking out.
When's the last time the Blues had a shot?
It's been a while. They had one on the power play. Late in the power play, the long one from the line. Handhus up to Higgins. And he gets to center and chips the puck in. We'll keep an eye on Elliott with 2:25 to go in the third, and the Blues trailing by a couple. Here's Verbata centering. Bonino is stopped by Elliott, who covers the puck. After a stop there on Nick Bonino, who was looking for his second of the game, but the Canucks will have to settle for the 2-goal lead. Downtown Vancouver, downtown St. Louis, the gateway to the west.
It's tourism. One of the big industries of St. Louis. It's a beautiful old city.
Beer.
Also beer tours. You can do a beer tour. We did not do one this afternoon.
No.
If people are wondering.
Sounds like it. The gateway to the west, the portal to a tough 4-game road trip for the Canucks. Elliott was sneaking out of his net. Now the puck contacted with a high stick, and that'll bring a face-off outside the Blues line.
Canucks Hockey. Brought to you by Subway. Build your own comfort at Subway with a heartwarming ham melt and tomato basil soup combo. Subway. Eat fresh.
Down to 124 seconds. And the drop of the puck. Blues send it down the ice and not helping themselves here. First the high stick, now the icing. And before we resume play here, Jackie and Jamie with a preview of what's ahead.
Thanks, John. I'm sure the Hawk Central panel will have something to say about another clutch goal from Radim Verbata.
Oh, I bet. Flames and Kings also in action, so we'll update you on the Western Conference playoff race. It's tight.
Ken Hitchcock was lamenting the starts of his team this morning. That might have been the best part of their game tonight, was the first 5 or 7 minutes for the Blues. Had the Canucks in trouble, couldn't score.
There he goes.
There goes Brian Elliott to the bench. Blues pull the goalie with 1:45 to go. Bieksa gets the puck out. Schwartz is onto the ice and passing across to Pietrangelo. Jaden Schwartz picks his way into the Vancouver zone. Pass back, blocked. Burrows, empty net, scores! The 21st empty net goal for the Vancouver Canucks. And they lead 4-1.
Well, Jaden Schwartz 1-on-4. And that's the problem with the Blues sometimes, is they think they're going to do it all themselves. Schwartz tries the back pass. I think it was Daniel that tipped it right to Alex Burrows.
Alex Burrows produces another winner on score and win for Safeway and Kellogg's cereal. Congratulations, Stephanie Tofin of Penticton. You've won a Lagostina 10-piece cookware set. Alex Burrows counts his 15th. And the Canucks' mastery of the St. Louis Blues is going to continue. There are certain things in sports you just can't explain. Blues have been such a good team for so long. They're going to have over 100 points for the 7th straight year. As Gotch moves into the drop pass, Reeve for the shot, blocker saved by Lack. But the Canucks are on the verge of improving to 9-0-2 in their last 11 against St. Louis.
It is amazing.
Ott dumps one to the corner. Pollock moves down from the line. Behind the net for Gotch.
And guess who the Blues' next opponent is here?
I'm going to guess the Calgary Flames as Lack grabs that puck. I think I read today, Canucks and the Flames play in their final 7 games, including the ones they're playing tonight, 6 of the same opponents.
Not easy. The Calgary Flames are on the road. They have done pretty well on the road, Nashville, and then doing okay in Dallas on this one. And
here's what I was alluding to. Here's a long shot by Bouwmeester. Glove save for Eddie Lack. He hangs on, allowing me to tell you about what you should plan to do tomorrow. John and I will be at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville along with Dan Murphy, our entire crew. Canucks and the Predators, our coverage begins at 4:30 Pacific. Play-by-play at 5. Lack drops the puck for Dan Hamhuis. Oshie, wrist one wide of the goal. Down to 25 seconds left. Backus gets a piece of Dorsett. Puck stays in the Vancouver zone, but Dorsett's onto it. And he chips it out while being hit by Oshie. I don't think David Backus has any final horn antics planned for this one. We'll have to wait and see as Eddie Lack takes that one on the short hop. Dan Hamhuis brings the puck forward. And the Canucks can celebrate another win in St. Louis. 9-0-2 in their last 11 against the Blues. 4-0-1 in this building. In their last 5 visits, Nick Bonino gets the winning goal. And Eddie Lack stops 23 of 24 shots in a 4-1 Vancouver win.
And spreading out the scoring. John, you talked about it before the game. Sean Matthias started it. Nick Bonino now back-to-back games with goals. And Steve Ruchin and Damien talked about the concentration of the Canucks on the road against a very good opponent. And the Canucks, more focused, held the Blues to, 24 shots. 14 after the first period.
Canucks win it by 3, and here are Mr. Garrett's 3 stars.
Eddie Lack again, when he had to make the saves, especially at the end of the second period, that leg save, that was a real critical one. Chris Tanev, 4 block shots, 1 at a key time, a couple of assists, and Radim Vrbata leading the way offensively, and a couple of real strong defensive plays.
A tough 4-game road trip for the Vancouver Canucks, a critical one in their bid to make the top 8 in the West. And what a way for the Canucks to start this one. You saw the 3 stars, strong play from all 3 of those guys who've been playing well every night of late. They knock off the Blues, continue their mastery of St. Louis, and now it's off to Music City, USA, with the Canucks hoping to sing another winning tune. 4-1 the final. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.